Hey, what is going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you how I made this golf ball scene inside of Cinema 4D, Octane, and After Effects. First I'll do the golf ball, and then we will do the grass models, and then we'll go through the texturing of the grass, and then we will do the lighting and rendering, and then we'll do the post inside of After Effects. I have some cool little tricks that I want to show you guys today, so we'll get right into it. So firstly, the golf ball itself is a sphere. You want to turn on your lines, and then we will increase our segment to 30, and then we will change this to this mode here. We will make it editable. We will select all our points, and then we will extrude it. We will turn the bevel to 10, offset to 0, create endgones, and then apply. And then all you want to do is put it inside a subdivision surface, and then you can scale your points down just slightly, and then you have this sort of golf ball-y type shape over here. Maybe you should scale it down just a bit more. Now we're going to scale it down to around real world scale. So I'm going to make it around 3 centimeters in all these sizes. Ooh, made a mistake there. Select your object first, and then you want to scale it down to 3. So now it's kind of around real world scale. So we're going to work on our composition first, because we want to know how much area we need for our grass and stuff. So we'll insert a camera, and my aspect ratio will be 1.91. You can use whatever aspect ratio you want. We will turn on our render safe, and then we will set up a sort of composition. So the golf, we'll put in a plane. This will be our floor. The golf ball was sitting somewhere around this height over here. Let me just see. It was sitting off the ground around that height, and then we had a thingy holding the golf ball up, something like that. And then you take your camera, and we're gonna just make sure that this is sitting straight, like so, in the center. We can sort of get our composition right. So we're gonna use some guides over here to get our composition the way we want it to be. Let's just zero this out again. And then I'll use a super tele lens. This is just what I used in my final project, so I'm gonna sort of do the same here. Maybe I'll just go with tele instead. Something like this. Maybe I'll rotate it this way a bit, and then just angle it down, something like that. That's kind of what my final project looked like. And then we'll adjust the plane. Well, let's add a protection tag so that the camera doesn't move around. Then we'll adjust the plane to match the canvas, because this plane is where we will project all our grass, and we don't want unnecessary grass off the screen. Otherwise, I'll just increase render times. So I'm going to reduce this plane down, and then I'll move it up here, and then I'll reduce it down a bit more, something like that. And then this will be our floor. So then we can reduce the sides down as well. Like that. We can just adjust it to the center, like so. And then what we can do is we can model out the stick thingy that was at the bottom. I forgot what it's called. And then we will model out the grass. So the stick part, I'm just saving this quickly. It's a good habit to have, just to save things. I'm just going to save it as golf ball. We've done this tutorial multiple times. And then we're going to go and make this 0.2, add in a cylinder, 0.2, height will be around 1, 2, we'll make the segments maybe 8, we'll make it editable. Then what we're going to do is we're going to select all the the top lines, we're going to push this up, all the bottom lines, we'll push that down to the floor. And then here we will add in a few lines. So we'll add one at the bottom for the sharpness there. We'll add one at the top for the sharpness there. And then we'll add one here. We'll add one there. And then we will take all these lines at the top here. Sorry, all these lines at the top here. We will extrude it outwards like so. And then here we will go and extrude this like this. And then we'll take this point in the middle, push it, what's going on here? Take the point in the middle, push it down a bit, and then this point up here. Obviously I had references and stuff when I did this in the original project, so this is a lot more accurate, but here I'm just going off eyesight, and we'll sort of try and get it to look somewhat like it did in the final. Something like that. Then I'll go ahead and smooth it. And I need to add a few subdivisions here. So just push this up a bit. We'll add a subdivision there, we'll add one there, and then we sort of get that general shape of what we had in the original project. Next, what we will do is we will do the grass pieces and the grass stalk. So to do that, I add in a plane over there. The scale doesn't really matter right now, so we'll just add in a plane. We'll make the width one. The segments, we'll make them both one, and then we will add in a normal texture, not an Octane one, and this is because we want to visualize what we're doing. So I'm going to use my grass blades here. All these textures I use are from polygon.com. You can find them there. And then here I'll go into alpha, like so. Then I'll apply it onto the plane. I will change this to flat. Then in my texture editor, I will go and rotate this. Oh, I need to make this editable. And then in my texture editor here, I will go and rotate this. Can this thing work, please? There we go. I don't know why it was doing that. Go here and rotate this 90 degrees. And then I'll select this enabled axis so I can scale this uniformly, and I'll just scale it until it reaches the end there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this axis center, and then I will put this at the bottom like so. And then also I want to rotate the axis 90 degrees this way. And then I'll just zero out the coordinate here, and then it should stand up straight. And that's just because when we scatter them in our Octane scatter object, then we want them all to be standing up straight. So I'm just going to duplicate this. Sorry. I'm going to duplicate it there. Then I'm going to add in another one. This will be our grass stalk. I think I meant to duplicate this. This will be our grass stalk over here. I don't know why it just went to some random place. Grass stalk. And then here we can go and copy, paste. And then if I go and apply this there to that second one, that should be in place. So I'm just going to hide that so I can focus on this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this edge here. I'm going to push it in like that. I'm going to duplicate the object. I'm going to select both edges and just move it to the side. Duplicate it, select both, duplicate it, and you can just move them to the side like this. And now we're just splitting up the different polygons so that we have our individual grass stalks over here. And now I'm not going to use the last one over here because that one looks ugly and I don't need it. And I actually don't want this one as well, and I don't want this one as well because it just made the overall render look bad for my specific case. And then on this one I'll do the same thing. I'll just move these 2 points in like so. And now we're going to start adding subdivisions to the grass pieces so that they bend and have a bit of variance to them. So I'm going to insert a polygon there. I'll make the cuts 2. Then I'll just reuse it and do it here as well. I'll do it there, there, there. Now, if we try and move these pieces around, you'll notice that it starts going into the other parts of the texture. To fix that, we want to delete the UV tags and then just generate new ones like so. So now if we take that same thing again, move it up, it stretches instead of just going into a different texture. So now we can sort of move these things around and just add some bendiness so that we have a bit of variation to our grass stalks. So our grass pieces over here. Just adds a bit of life. Even though 90% of the scene will be blurred in my case, you can do whatever you want in your case. The little things do add a huge effect, especially if with close-up renders, you need all the detail and stuff does matter. So sort of adding a bit of variation, and then if you want, you can also do something like this with the polygons, with the points, sorry. Just bend it like this, and then just add some bending variation, whatever you want to do there. And then here I'm also going to bend this one, like like so. Just gonna bend it outwards. Maybe I should keep this straight and then bend it like that, like so. And then the actual scale of this is a lot bigger than these grass pieces, so I'm just gonna scale this up like so. I think that's what the actual scale should be like compared to those. And now we've done all that, we're just gonna hide everything. And now we can start scattering them everywhere. And so yeah, so we'll insert a scatter object, and then we'll put all our grass stalks in one, and then we'll put the floor, where's the floor? Make this editable, call this floor. We will put the floor inside here. We will select surface. Uh-oh. Sorry. We'll select surface, and then we want to scale this down to around what grass stalks size would be compared to here. So I use reference objects in my original, but here I'm sort of going to eyeball it like so. That's too small, make it 0.8 like so. And I think this is sort of what the grass sizes would be. So we'll add in another 0 just so we can fill it up a bit. And then we're going to add in another scatter object, and this will be for our stalks. But actually first, wait, let's do this first. So we'll add in our scatter object, we will select surface, put in our floor again, and then we'll scale this down as well. Like so. And then we'll just reduce the amount, something like that. So now these ones that are sticking out, those are our grass stalks. But what I want to do is I want to add some more geometry to the actual grass to itself, because if you're looking very up close, you'll start to notice that there's bends and harsh edges and stuff going around. So what I did in my original project, and I'll be careful with this because this can add a lot more geometry to your scene, is what I did is I placed them all inside a, we'll call this stalk so that we can just see, so we can separate them. We'll place them all inside a null, like so, and then we'll place them inside a subdivision surface, and then we will change this to 1, just one subdivision, and then we'll go open subdiv and edge and corner. Now you'll see that we have just a bit more smoothing on our geometry itself, but it does multiply quite a lot when you have millions of grass stalks, so I'll be careful with that. So I'm just going to press C, and then we can just take them back out and place them back inside our Octane scatters. And now we just have a bit more subdivisions. So I'm just going to hide all of these out the viewport so it doesn't mess up with our viewport camera. And then here, if I add another 0 to this, you'll see it starts getting really dense. This is maybe too dense, something like so. Then we can add some randomness to the whole thing just to add some life. So if your scene's a bit bigger, this will have more of an effect, but I'm going to do this anyway. So we'll add in a noise scale. Turn that up to maybe 3, like so. Now you'll see we have some waves, a bit of variation to our scene itself. And maybe I'll make these a bit taller as well over here, like that. And then we can add some randomness to it by going and adding a random effector, like so. I'll just turn off the visibility, and I will maybe go position, and I'll just turn these on. So position, maybe I'll go around 1, where am I going? There, around 1, something like that. And the rotation, I can also go 360. And then now we have a bit more randomness to what's going on inside our of our scene. So now we'll start off with the texturing now. So we'll start off with the golf ball. We'll call this golf ball. And this will be our stick thing. I forgot what it's actually called, but I'm just going to call it stick. And inside here, we will just make this 2 here. We're going to go and open up our live viewer. We're going to add in a basic sunlight so that we can light this whole thing. Once this thing is done checking that I've actually purchased it, it does this every time I open Cinema 4d, and it's really annoying. So we can open this up, and then we'll add in a live viewer. I should turn off the scatter. I think it's interfering. So we added in a light. We can just angle it like that. Then we're going to go and change this to path tracing, 2100 GI clamp, and then 2.2 gamma. And I'm just going to go for linear base. This always looks better for me, so I just do it most of the time. So here we have our golf ball. We'll add in a glossy material. We'll place that on our golf ball. Inside here, we will go cubic. And then for the logo, what I did is I went and added in a image texture, and I just found this Nike logo online. I thought it would bring me views, so I might as well just use a popular brand, you know. That's how we do it. So if I can find this actual texture there, then the way I mapped this on is I went and made it smaller, like so. I changed the projection to spherical. And then I turned off the tiling, and then it should be sitting on the side like there. So I'm just going to scale it up, and then it's going to go into our camera here, and then we'll just rotate the actual ball itself like so. Like so, and then to add some randomness, I sort of rotated it this way, so it looks like it was placed by hand and it wasn't just perfectly put down by a 3D artist. So now we can add some bumps to it. If you look at actual references, they're not beat up that bad, but I assume golf balls do get some sort of damaging. So here we're just gonna layer about three different. Let me just see. We'll layer 2 different bump maps on here. I would actually put this in the normal. I'll do a normal version of this. Put this inside the normal section. What am I saying? But I'm gonna put it inside the bump section, because why not? So here I'll go 0.001, 0.005. See, it's very, very subtle, and this is maybe even too harsh. So now we're gonna go and layer this on. We're gonna go into our node editor. We will go and add in a add, and then place this in there, place this in there, and then place this in there. And then we'll add in a image texture again, and then we'll just layer on another bump map. These are pretty much the only 2 bump maps I ever use, and I keep forgetting to get new ones, but these do the job for now. So this one we want to scale down as well. Just scale it down in here, like that. This one needs to be inverted because it's the wrong way around. Just going to invert it, and then maybe go 0.01, 0.05. Something like that, 0.03. So it's very, very subtle, but you want to spend time in just getting those nice little details in. And then we'll also add some dirt on it, because I assume rolling around in the grass all that time produces dirt. So we'll create a diffuse material, call this overlay. I'll make this a darkish green to represent all the grass it's been in, like so. And put that there. And then here I'll just layer on 2. I'll do 2 just for the sake of the tutorial. I don't want to make this long. So I'll just do this dirt one here. We can go and scale this down. Something like that actually looks fine. And then things are starting to become a mess here. So I'm just going to go and try and separate these things out. So now we'll add in another one. We will go and add in this by going add, like so. Like, these things are so small, like so. I wish there was a snapping feature that could just snap them for you, make life a lot easier. So now we're going to add in another one. We're just going to do this one because why not? So we'll do this. We need to scale this down, I believe. Maybe make it 25 so we can sort of, yeah. So the scale is around the right place, and that's just the basic idea. You can you can do this however you want to. The actual stick itself, we'll create another glossy material. What I did is I went and copied the bump map. Since we've already done that here, we'll just paste it there. And we're just going to bring the stick in here. And then to sort of give the effect that the bottom piece is more dirty and the bit of the top is dirty as well, I used a dirt node over here. So I'm just going to add in a dirt, and then I'll add in a gradient as well. Put the gradient in the input and then inside the diffuse. So the dirt, I just turned up the strength, turned up the details, and then you can invert it and then just turn down the size like so. So something like that. And then to sort of get some more darkness coming up here, I just need to turn up this. To get some more darkness coming up here, what I did is I went and took this model. At the bottom here, I went and, can I get this lighting to look right? I went and took these bottom faces like so. And then I went and extruded inner. And then I went and extruded it up. Let me just make sure, okay, there's no caps. I went and extruded it up like so. And now if I go and look over here, let's just smooth it. Now if I go and push this up like so, it should control the darkness of this piece here. Maybe this needs to be a bit wider, so just gonna go and see in here, just take our face, take our lines here, like so, just select these. Select these lines as well. Then we come back out like this. Then we will smooth it again. And then here, if I scale this outwards, it should be adding some darkness in here. I do not know why it's not, but that's the general idea. Maybe I should add some more lines in here so this thing can really get what I'm trying to do. Let's just turn off reuse. I think that's still on. Yes, let's just put a line there. We'll put a line in there and in there. And now we'll see if this works. If it doesn't, then I do not know how I got it to work last time. But for some reason, in my last project, that worked, and I could push these, push up the black part so that I could have more emphasized dirt. But anyway, we're going to move on. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this dirt map as a mask. So we'll add in a mix material. We'll replace that. We'll put the Octane Glossy at the bottom. Maybe I should put it in there. And then we'll put the overlay at the top. And then we will go into our node editor over here. Things are messy again. Just want to order this around. Now we can take that same dirt, and instead of putting it in the diffuse, we will put it inside the amount. So now you can see what I'm going for over here. And then we're just going to go and invert it like so. And that's what I was going for. And then we can, reduce the opacity and stuff however you want it to look. But that's the idea for the golf ball and the stick. For the textures of the grass pieces, since we visualized it and they're all placed where we want them to be, we're going to go and convert them into Octane materials now. Convert. And for the sake of the tutorial, I'll just keep them as diffuse materials. And I'll do that same translucency thing that I did in my last tutorial. So I'll insert my normal map. And then I'll insert my transmission. And I'm not going to layer on extra textures and stuff because that's just going to slow down the render process for me. But I would do what I did in the last tutorial, and it's my last plant tutorial, and that's where you'll find that. So now I'm going to go and put this in my transmission here. So now if I bring these in, ooh, our floor, I forgot about that. We need to texture our floor as well, because you might see that inside your final render. So I'm just going to insert a glossy material. And for this case, I used a grassy texture. Let's see here, grass. We can go and apply that, and then we'll just go and put in our normal map. And then I'll also put in my specular. I'm just going to save it because I feel like it's about to crash. And then I'll put in my roughness as well. So now we can add in everything back in, and the lighting as well. My lighting in my case was angled something like this, and I feel like my composition is wrong, so I'm just gonna, this is why it's important to do this first, but obviously I've gotten this wrong. Let me just move this floor more this way, and I'll just push it. Let's just turn off the textures, and let's make this constant shading. No, like that. Okay. So I think the composition's about right now, but I'm not happy with this floor. Let me just move this outwards a bit more. I don't want it clipping off the top and bottom. And this is sort of what my composition looked like. So my lighting, like I was saying, my lighting was something like that sort of angle I went for. And then I also added an HDRI to support this. And I need more outdoor HDRIs, but I just use this one because this one looked nice. Like so. And then we add in our scatters, and then you'll start to see a huge mess comes. And this is the basic idea. If you want to reduce the sizes of your things, then all you want to do is just do this, because as you can see here, my stalks are too big. So I'm just going to reduce the scale. All you have to do is drag down. Sorry, you want to select your point mode and then just drag down like so. And then I'll maybe reduce the amount to 30. And then I'll add my protection tag back on here. And then once I render this out, I'll get a nice, beautiful plant render. But this will take a few hours. So I'm going to use the original project render that I did, and then I'll go into compositing inside of After Effects. So I'm just going to pretend that I rendered this out, and then I will see you inside of After Effects. Okay, so now we're inside of After Effects. I will bring in my original project files, and then I will show you how I went about compositing this thing. So here we have golf ball and golf ball multipass. I forgot to say, your multipass settings and your render settings here, all I really used is I used EXR format, zip compression, so I would do that. And then here I went and used a position, no, I actually used depth pass in this case. So that's pretty much all I did for my multipass settings. So I'll bring these inside of After Effects now. I'll bring it into a new composition, and then I'll bring in my EXR format and then extractor. And here, so I use position instead, actually, position's right there. So that's all I did for that. And I'll change the project to 16 bits. And then here for the position pass, you just need to turn this down and you'll see what direction you want to blur. In this case, it's the red. So I'm going to go and tick here red, red, and now we have our depth pass. So here, if I go minus 0.1, we can bring this depth up and up until we get the direction that we want. And that's what our depth pass looks like now. So I'm going to go and pre-comp this and call this depth. And then here I'll bring in my Frischluft depth of field plugin. It's an amazing plugin. I've been using it so much recently in my recent projects. If you go to artstation.com/artstation.com/Arthur you'll see some pretty cool projects made with this plugin. So it's going to change the radius to 30, change the depth layer to depth, and then you pick a focus point like so, and it'll work its magic. So it's going to save this because it crashed the last time I tried to do this tutorial. Save golf ball like so. And so I'm just gonna crank this up to 100, and then we're gonna export this as an image so that it doesn't have to refresh every time we want to add in something on the scene. So I'm just gonna let this load out quickly. I used a very, very shallow depth of field here. Maybe make it 60. I think 100 was too much. And then we'll get into some color grading, and then I'll show you some cool tricks to do with this depth of field and some particles. So we're going to export this as a image and bring that same image in. So, and now we're just going to add it on the top. So now when we do color grading and stuff, we don't have to wait for the refresh every 10 seconds. So I'm going to use Magic Bullet Looks. I use this plugin every time I color grade if it's not a linear based scene, because it doesn't work in linear based for some reason. I generally go with Colorista first. I'll make, it depends on the scene, but here I'm going to sort of try and balance out the greens and oranges. I went for a nice sort of scene setting like that. Maybe bring this down, brighten it up a bit, and just sort of try and contrast it a bit as well. And then maybe a bit on the oranges. And then I will go and add in a vignette, like so, just so we have a bit of focus guidance, like so. Make this 25%. And then I'll add in a spot exposure as well. Maybe make this 0.5. And then I'll just bring down the radius like so, maybe 0.25. Like that. And I think that's all we really need to do for this project in particular. Maybe I can increase the contrast a bit. And that's all we can do there. And then what we will do is we'll just add on exposure, because I feel like the scene's a bit too dark. So I'll go 0.5, 0.25, and then I will go and add in a flare. So this will be our flare. Just go and add in a lens flare, optical flares from Video Copilot. I'll change this to sun, and then I'll change the layer to add. I'll just bring it off the scene like so, and maybe make the scale 500 like so. So now we have some sunlight going inside the scene. I will reduce the brightness to 75, and let's see what's going on with this layer. So we'll turn off that contrast because it's really like that. I don't want it to be so harsh on the tips there. So we're going to add in some particles now. I'll go here, particular. Use Tropico particular. This plugin and Photorealistic depth of field works amazingly together. They just produce amazing effects. Anyway, so I'm going to go and in my emission extras turn this up to 100. My particle section, I will turn the life up to 100, and then I will change this to box. Then I'll reduce the amount to maybe 5 particles, and I'll just sort of spread these out a bit. So now we have some depth to our scene, like so. And then we will change the particle shading to a sort of brightish yellow, just so it fits in the scene a bit better. Have some sun sort of reflecting off them. And size we can reduce down to 3, maybe make it 25% randomness. And if we unsolo that, you'll see that we're starting to get some particles on the scene. Generally, before I would use After Effects' camera to do the depth of field, but that doesn't work very well. So what I've been doing recently, and this doesn't always work well, it sometimes takes a bit of practice to get right, is I've been taking the particular and then I've been turning it into a depth map inside of my depth of fields comp. So what I would do is I'll change the color to white, and then inside my visibility settings, I'll change this to 1 and 1, and then I would use this as a depth map. But like I said, it doesn't always work. So if I bring this under my depth of fields, I'll call this DOF, and I'll call this CC. I bring this under my depth of field, and then I refresh this. We should get some particles that are blurred and some that sort of stick out and do work. So I'm just going to adjust this color a bit. But this is sort of the idea that I got, like so. And then inside of my, let's just go and change this to unsharp mask and put this on there. And then in my CC, I also want a bit of contrast over there. Maybe I'll try color contrast, see how that works. I feel like it's about to crash. Please don't. Just save this. Bring that up again. So let me see if color contrast will work. Should be here somewhere, there. I don't know how this works. I've never used it before. No, that's not going to work. So I want a bit of contrast, but I don't want these highlights to be so harsh. So I'm just going to go to 25. Okay, I guess that's all right. And if you want, you can also add some grain. That's what I did in my original project. I just went into that. And then I'll probably make this 0.5. Let's just see. Inside your depth of field settings, here's a cool trick that I've learned recently. And this obviously depends on the project. Let me just change this to final. But if you go in here into your highlight selection, you can actually select the different highlights that you want to sort of brighten up a bit. So if I go and turn this down, all the different parts, all these pieces that you're seeing now will be brighter inside the depth of field, which will give it a very nice effect. So if I sort of clamp it down like this, and then I turn off my highlight selection and go to normal blur, here you'll sort of see the effect that I'm talking about once I increase this highlight intensity. And this is a really nice effect that you can change to see here. You'll see some of them are brighter. And depending on the scene, you can use this to get some really cool effects. Here you'll see these brighten up a bit more. And that's some really cool tricks that you can do with that. So I'm just going to change my iris and turn the rounded facets off, and then turn my facets to 8. And then that's pretty much how I went about doing this project. These particles are a bit too big, so I'm just going to change this down to 1.5. I want them to be barely visible. Like so. I'll maybe even make it 1, and then change this down to 1.5. Like so. So that's how I created grass inside of Cinema 4D, Octane, and After Effects, and that was my whole process for it. So if you guys enjoyed, I'll be trying to make some more tutorials, and have a great day. Thank you guys for your support once again. Subscribe and like the video, and I will see you on my next one. Goodbye.